Welcome again. This is lesson 7 of Module 1, Unit 1. We are going to be learning and reading The Invisible Boy again today, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper in our understanding of the Invisible Boy. Our learning targets for today are I can respond to questions using details from the text to support my answers, and I can stay on topic while participating in conversations with my classmates. Again, we're going to go through the read aloud. This is The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig, illustrated by Patrice Barton. Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Miss Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Miss Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then the best friends of the best players. Then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so is the water slide, adds Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings. Thank you for toasting my marshmallow. Space aliens locked in intergalactic battles. I gotcha now. Greedy pirates digging for treasure. Crackers? Arrgh. Yay! And superheroes with the power to make new friends wherever they go. Hi! Hi, friend. Have a cookie. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. It's bulgogi. What? Bulgogi. It's a Korean beef barbecued. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some? There's no way I'd eat bulgogi. All the kids laugh. All of them, that is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put his backpack away, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked good. Brian, yum. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. You're Brian, right? Yeah. Thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asked the kids to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Mrs. Carlotti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in the photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. The crooked story we made up on the spot. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian, he hears someone call out. Hey, Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian, and he makes room for him at the table. Cookie? Thanks. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. After reading The Invisible Boy again, we are going to think about some questions. How do you think Brian feels when the kids are picking teams? What detail in the text or picture helps you know how Brian feels? What in the story makes him feel this way? Modeling writing, using details from the text. How does Brian feel when the kids are picking teams? Brian feels hopeful. What detail in the text or picture helps you know how Brian feels? The text says Brian is hoping. In the picture, his eyes are big and his eyebrows are up. And what in the story makes him feel this way? He is waiting and hoping to be chosen for a kickball team. Now it's your turn. You're going to do an independent writing using details from the text, using the same 3 questions that we have already done. How does Brian feel at recess? What detail in the text or picture helps you know how Brian feels? And what in the story makes him feel this way? It's your turn to write. Going back and reflecting on our learning targets are: I can respond to questions using details from the text to support my answers. I can stay on topic while participating in conversations with my classmates. Your homework is to tell a friend or family member 2 details about the invisible boy. I hope you are able to complete that homework after school. Thanks.